Hi, this is Colin Nunziato with Troop 6806, and this is the scenic design for Annie, written by Thomas Meehan. So a couple of things that really inspired me to make this design was looking back at mansions from the 1930s and that around that era. As we know from the play, Mr. Warbucks is very wealthy, one of the wealthiest men in America. So I wanted to make everything a big grand staircase, big spiral staircase. This was common back in the 1930s in their mansion designs to really show wealth. Some major considerations with the size of this is the entrance to the theater. This stage is built for the Kroc Center and that specific side stage. So it is 31 feet deep, including the apron, and 36 feet, and then 31 feet wide, with a 25-foot opening. But one restraint we had when designing this is the entrance to get all the set pieces into the staging area is not too big. It's only 15 feet tall by 10 feet wide. So we had to fit everything in there. So that's why I wanted to limit all the size. I also was thinking about that this is for a high school play and can be used by them. So I did not want to make everything too grand and expensive, since I tried to keep the budget between $1,500 and $2,000. Major set pieces I have for the mansion, as you can see here, I got the staircase itself, and I wanted to do the spiral staircase that I talked about before. It is 6 feet tall. This model here is every foot is a ½ inch on this model. So I wanted the staircase to be tall, but not too tall where if a young kid is on it, they're not going to be afraid of the heights. So I wanted to make it not too tall, and I have just a simple little wall next to it, having some windows with a New York City backdrop, little skyline in the back that can help just add atmosphere to it, so we don't just have the cyc. I designed the staircase and the window wall to be able to stay behind the midline traveler, so for the rest of the show I can keep it back there. Since for the Kroc Center specifically, the backstage is not very large, so I'd not be able to keep everything back in the wings. So we wanted to press everything up. I talked with the director and my technical director about this. We're gonna keep everything up behind that midline traveler so we can close it. And then we're gonna I made this New York City backdrop skyline able to become in front of that midline traveler to still keep that through all of the orphanage and all the other scenes. One of the main things I looked at in the mansion was, what does the show really show? And I thought it showed how Annie was going from a very poor place that was cramped and there wasn't many places for you to be, to a very large, open, grand mansion. So that's another reason I want to close the midline traveler during the other scenes, is to push everything forward and show how cramped it is. And then later on for the big reveal of the mansion, it's a big open space with plenty of people and plenty of room for Annie. So I approached the research process. It's a big research process. It's back in the time, so there wasn't much online back then. So I approached it just by watching some other shows of Annie and reading the script multiple times. And then I was looking, since I wanted to specify the mansion scene, because I really think that encapsulates Annie, and that's what we see a lot about her. So I just researched a whole bunch of architecture from back then and what a wealthy person would have. So, I included I included high railways with a place for, in the script he buys the Mona Lisa, so Mr. Warbucks does. So I wanted a place for that. So I put 2 portrait hanging spots. There was many challenges I saw in the designing here. One of my biggest challenges was trying to keep it all up behind that curtain, as I talked about earlier. And I designed it where this section where the stairs start would be able to come apart from the overall design. So as you can see here, this would be in the full design, this would come off, so I can detach it and push it up past that traveler so that curtain can close. And then I also was, since all these set pieces will be heavy, to move these set pieces, we're gonna put them on gliders, since the Kroc Center stage is a polished wood stage. So as previously tested, we can glide things along them. If I could do anything differently in this, I would probably work a little more on the details. As you can see here, this is a flat thing for the stairs, and that was just to simplify the scale model design and get the picture across. So yeah.